Hello everyone, welcome to my design exhibition. My name is Benny Wilhelm and I'm glad you came, so to say. As you can tell, we are not able to do in person this year because of the virus that shall not be named, so we are doing this online. So I'm just going to be going through my project with you and showing all the steps of the design thinking process. Now, if you don't know what a design exhibition is, or whether you're new or you just forgot, it's very simple. It's basically you show off one project and kind of showing off specifically all the different steps of the design thinking process and showing your work and all of that fun stuff. So that is what we will be doing. Alrighty then. so my project I will be showing off is my Gibson blacktop redesign. Now, this is a fun project. I've enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I'll just go into it. Now the emphasized steps. So the premise of the project was I was obviously redesigning the blacktop of Gibson, which is this spot right here. So obviously there wasn't much there to work with. It was a very blank spot. So I tried to figure out, okay, maybe I can get some inspiration for what it used to be. I didn't. It just used to be an extra spot for PE space, an extra PE space for the physical middle school before Gibson took over the building. And well, I can't really do much there. I'm gonna be real, but I did get some other stuff. People actually use the spot quite a lot for whether it's just eating lunch or playing games with their friends or just hanging out there. And particularly, it's mainly used during summer and spring, some more nicer weather times where it's not going to be raining on them like crazy. Sorry about that. Like, when it's not going to be raining on like crazy. But I was thinking maybe I can come up with a way to come up with some sort of rain protection. There's also no animals, which is not that big of a shock, but there's also no plants there, which is kind of a bummer. For this open space, I would have assumed there would have been like maybe a couple of flower beds or something. It's literally just a block of asphalt and concrete. There's nothing there besides a couple basketball hoops. So this is just a couple of sketches and stuff I came up with real quick. Obviously, the reference shots again, along with the actual size and the mentions of the area according to Google Maps, and just some quick sketches I come up with. This one has some sort of this one has a covering. I will describe what those squares are in a second or later, but this has some sort of covering to protect from rain, and of course covered the shade along with some tables. And then this is some artwork I thought would be really cool to add some color into the mix. Now this is just that, but the same exact thing except with more just precise measurements and all that stuff. So I then went to the define step, figuring out what exactly is the problem, figuring out how do I solve this and what am I going to do. So I came up with an idea. I figured out the problem was there isn't anywhere to sit when eating in that area. It's not very aesthetically pleasing, so it could use some sort of maybe art or plant life to liven it up a bit. There's also people who use the basketball court, so I'm gotta make sure if I'm gonna do anything, it stays out of that area, so it doesn't get into their way. So I then went to ideate, the step where I came up with all the different ideas I had. So my first thought was, all right, why don't I come up with some sort of table? Some obvious tables. I just thought on the wall would be a good spot for them. But so people have somewhere to sit when they eat or play games or something. I also thought maybe some artwork would be really cool, especially on the wall, because that would be a really nice spot to have it, at least in my opinion. And it'll just bring some nice color and liven the place up. Next is some plant box. I thought just get some life in there, but I don't know how well that's going to work. It would look nice, but there's already a lot of plants in Gibson X, so I wasn't really thinking about that to begin with, but it did end up coming back. And then, of course, the big thing for me was some sort of covering for rain/shaded area. Now, rain's obviously a problem because we live in Washington, so I had to come up with. So I thought that would be really nice, but it's also during the summertime. You don't want shades were also really nice during really hot days, so I thought it could also be double used as that. And then I had a quick idea to repaint the basketball court lines just for people who use them, because they're a bit jacked up and they're very visible, at least to me. Alright, so this is when I went into my prototype phase, or better known as my 3D model. That's what I did. So as you can see here, it's the same exact thing as there, except a bit more detail, and you can actually see what those little squares were, which are these little glass kind of things I made. So the entire premise of those glass things was to kind of, I guess, be able to sun to still come through. Now, obviously, it'll be really cool just because you can kind of see the rainfall if it is rain. But it's also, someone mentioned, well, sometimes people want to be in the sun. And I was like, okay, that's a good point. So how do we fix that? And I came up with, why don't we add these glass these little see-through areas. They'll still cover rain, and there's definitely areas that will still be shaded, but it'll also get some sun, and if people want to sit in that. That's the artwork right there. Now, of course, I made this in Minecraft because that's the best modeling platform I know how to use, because I don't know how to use some of the other ones. But this was really interesting to look at. This is kind of the best representation I have. But again, it adds some nice color along with the plants over here. There's a nice little aesthetic, pleasing little thing. And then, of course, that was just like a 4 square thing because people play that. I then shared it with the people in the Landscape D Lab, which is just was with, and I got some feedback. So this is it after I got the feedback. Before, there wasn't those little see-through things. That wasn't there. The plant life wasn't there. It was mainly just the awning and the tables. So people were like, why don't you go with plastic instead of glass? Because it's going to be a lot less fragile. It's going to be cheaper. And it would be a lot easier to work with. Also, add some sort of plant life. Because there already is a lot of plant life. But honestly, this area could benefit from plant life a lot. And then add some sort of game or something along those lines. Just add something, I guess, entertaining for people, because that's what they wanted. So yeah, that's what I did. I went with that. And then test. So testing is an interesting phase because I'm not finished with the testing phase right now. So we're going to have to go into it. It's a very hands-on project at least in this moment of the phase. So I can't really work with stuff going on with Gibson because we aren't in person. So I don't have this one working out. I can think of some future plans though. At the moment, I do need to figure out some sort of budget for this thing. So I don't know if that requires talking with Julia or getting just a rough estimate of what I could do for this. Just to come up with like a materials list, finance list, and all of that thing I can work around. Next, I also wanted to figure out, okay, if this does happen, how do we, I guess, get the permits or stuff to work with this? Because we got to get permission from the district to do a lot of these things. I also, of course, I like art, so I wanted to get some people's feedback on the art. I want to get more feedback on this just so I can have it and refine it even more. And I would probably also want to learn a better 3D modeling software like Tinkercad. I tried Tinkercad, it was really confusing for me, so I went with Minecraft as it was a lot simpler. But that can definitely help me get more of the minute details, more exact measurements, and all of that stuff. And it'll just work out a lot better. So that is my design expedition. I hope I guess, showed you what I was working on. If you have any questions, I don't really know how you can get them to me. I guess email me. That'll be nice. You can email me. And yeah, there's the link in the description to my portfolio site if you want to look at everything again. Just whether it be the slide deck where it has everything on it, whether it be more 3D models or whatever. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed.